Read clause 18.4 again, slowly. That was the moment the room shifted. Her smile cracked, just slightly, like glass under pressure. 10 minutes earlier, she'd been pacing in front of my house, loud enough for neighbors to record, calling me non-compliant, threatening daily fines, promising to make an example out of me. I stood on my porch, shaking but quiet, holding a folder thicker than her confidence. She thought it was fear. It was preparation. If you love powerful stories, you don't want to miss this. But before we continue, tell us where you are watching from. It makes us happy to see how far our stories travel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Karen ran our HOA like a reality show villain. Selective fines, surprise inspections, smug emails at 2 a.m. But she made one mistake. She bullied someone who reads everything. Buried on page 47 of our state HOA compliance handbook was a law about enforcement bias and personal harassment liability, not just fines reversed, board members personally responsible. So I let her escalate. I let her send violation letters. I let her post my house photo in the community group. I let her laugh on camera when she said, "People like you never win against systems like this." What she didn't know, I'd already filed a quiet complaint with the state oversight office and requested a full audit of every fine she'd ever approved. By then, regulators were quietly building a case using her own records. Karen didn't know the audit had already started when she knocked on my door 3 days later, with a camera crew from the local neighborhood blog behind her. She smiled like she had already won. "Final notice," she said, loud enough for the camera. "Pay the fines or we proceed legally." I stepped outside, barefoot on purpose, calm on purpose, holding that same thick folder. Neighbors started drifting closer. Phones came out. Karen loved an audience. "Are you refusing compliance?" she asked, voice dripping with fake patience. I opened the folder slowly, pulled out one sheet, then another, then another. Every violation notice she'd signed, highlighted. Every home she ignored, tabbed. Every email where she threatened residents, printed. Then I handed her a single envelope. "What's this?" she snapped. "Your notification," I said. "State oversight opened a discrimination and selective enforcement review. You're personally named." The color left her face so fast it was almost artistic. The cameraman lowered his camera, not out of shock. Karen laughed, but it came out wrong. High. High. Sharp. "You think paperwork scares me?" Right on cue, a black SUV turned into the street. Two state compliance officers stepped out. Not fast, not dramatic, just official. One of them asked, "Is Karen Matthews present?" For the first time, Karen didn't step forward. She stepped back. The officer read from a tablet. "Failure of fiduciary duty, harassment exposure, misuse of HOA authority, and personal liability review for financial damages." Neighbors weren't whispering anymore. They were staring. Then Mrs. Dalton, Karen's closest ally, quietly walked back inside her house and locked her door. Karen looked around like she expected someone to defend her. No one did. Because everyone suddenly realized something. Karen hadn't just bullied me, she'd been building evidence against herself for years. Karen tried to recover fast. Too fast. "This is harassment," she snapped at the officers, voice shaking under forced authority. "You can't just show up because one homeowner is upset." The taller officer didn't even blink. "Ma'am, we're here because 12 homeowners filed sealed statements in the last 48 hours. The silence that followed was suffocating. Karen turned slowly, scanning faces she thought she owned. Mr. Alvarez wouldn't meet her eyes. The Petersons folded their arms. Mrs. Dalton didn't come back outside. Then the second officer spoke. "We also have financial flags, unauthorized legal fee transfers, selective fine routing, possible personal gain." Karen actually laughed, but this time it sounded like panic breaking. "That's impossible." I finally stepped forward. "You remember the emergency landscaping fine you charged me?" I said quietly. Her eyes locked onto mine. Hate, fear, realization. "I paid it," I said, then requested financial disclosure under state transparency law. The officer nodded. That request exposed account movement patterns. Karen's knees didn't buckle, but her confidence did. Then came the twist no one expected. The officer turned the tablet toward her. "Your vice president already signed a cooperation statement this morning." You could actually hear Karen's breathing change. They wouldn't. They did. Neighbors weren't shocked anymore. They were relieved. Years of intimidation, sarcasm, power games, collapsing in real time on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. Then the officer said the sentence that ended her reign. "Miss Karen, we advise you to seek legal counsel. Immediately. She tried to speak. Nothing came out. For the first time since I moved into that neighborhood, Karen looked small, and everyone saw it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Karen didn't come to the next HOA meeting, but everyone else did. Every seat filled. People stood along the walls, not for drama, for closure. The interim board president, Mr. Alvarez, cleared his throat and opened with something no one expected. We are here to correct years of damage. Then he read the notice. All active fines issued under Karen's enforcement period, suspended pending review. Legal fund expenditures, frozen. Personal liability investigation, ongoing. A low murmur rolled through the room. Not gossip. Relief. Then came the moment that sealed everything. The HOA attorney stood and said, based on preliminary findings, certain former board members may be held personally responsible for misused association funds and targeted enforcement damages. Not the HOA. Personally. A few people actually exhaled like they'd been holding their breath for years. Then Mrs. Dalton, who once reported neighbors for trash cans being visible for 5 minutes, raised her hand and quietly asked how to file for reimbursement. The room almost laughed. Not cruel laughter, justice laughter. Outside, as the meeting ended, someone taped a printed notice to the community board. State review in progress. Resident rights protected. No one signed it. They didn't have to. As I walked to my car, Mr. Alvarez stopped me. You didn't just protect yourself, he said. You changed this neighborhood. I smiled. Not victory, not revenge. Peace. Because the real power wasn't yelling. It wasn't intimidation. It was knowing the rules and letting bullies destroy themselves trying to break them. And somewhere across town, Karen was learning a very expensive lesson. Power without accountability is just borrowed time. Please like, comment, subscribe.